the Nazis of our time, Hezbollah, Iran, Hamas, were at it again this past weekend. The reaction of the West has been frightening. One would think that you no more have to be Jewish to side with Israel than you have to be Catholic or Protestant to condemn what happened in France. You would think people have a moral conscience working, whatever their religion or ethnicity. But if you do think that, it's not always right. Hezbollah, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Hezbollah, a U.S. designated terrorist group that controls southern Lebanon, said it had nothing to do with the deaths, but claimed responsibility for other attacks in the area on Saturday. So they didn't lob this bomb that was very powerful and made in Iran. No, Hezbollah. The reason Hezbollah has denied that they were involved in this massacre of children playing soccer is that they were not Jews. We don't kill Arab children. We only kill Jewish children. But no, they killed them. They murdered them. They slaughtered them. They claim responsibility for other attacks, however, including launching a Falak 1 rocket at an Israeli military site a few miles from the strike scene. Israel's military said that an Iranian-made Falak 1 hit a soccer field. By the way, billions and billions of dollars toward Iranian arms were given over by the Biden and Obama administrations. These bombs were made in Iran and paid for by American money. Just thought you, by Democratic Party money, giving American money, to be precise. But people will be preoccupied with a comment made 3 years ago by J.D. Vance about women embracing their cats rather than having children. Now, that's what the preoccupation is with. I'll give you a little of Ms. Harris's background later.
Bible Cruise, Zilla.
Israel military said an Iranian-made Falak 1 hit a soccer field in Majdal Shams, a community of the Druze religious minority, and that it was launched from the vicinity of Chebah in a southern Lebanese village. Let's see, killed 12 young people and 40 are injured here. The kids, non-Jewish kids, by the way, Arab kids, playing soccer, slaughtered by Hezbollah. I have said all of my life that people do not recognize evil in their time. They only recognize evil afterwards. This was the case with communism. Now people are more willing to acknowledge how evil the Soviet Empire was, but when Ronald Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire, the entire liberal world erupted. It was condemned by 50 American newspapers. Oh, it's not an evil empire, the Soviet Union. Of course not. Same with Hezbollah and Hamas, where you have scum, the lowest form of humanity, taking over colleges, who are, they not only, they go beyond morally equating Israel and Hamas. They are pro-Hamas. Yeah, it's quite something, and Hezbollah for that matter. So they slaughtered 12 kids, and then they say it wasn't from us. I mean, everybody knows it was from them. It was the same exact Iranian-made missile that was sent over the next day from Hezbollah in Lebanon. But because it wasn't Jewish kids slaughtered, they denied that they did it. They only want to slaughter Jewish kids. And there are any number of Jews who support them. It's quite something. I wrote a piece, you should look it up. It's called Sick Jews. The White House National Security Council said Sunday that the United States' support for Israel's security is ironclad and unwavering against all Iran-backed threats, including Hezbollah. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said Sunday that it was important to prevent the situation from escalating, quote, "We're in conversations with the government of Israel, and again I emphasize its right to defend its citizens and our determination to make sure they're able to do that. But we also don't want to see the conflict escalate." Isn't that sort of denying the first part? Of course you could defend yourself, but you can't escalate it. Yes, you should allow your children to be slaughtered. Because if you respond, you're escalating. But, we're completely committed to you. Anthony Blinken is not what we would call a giant. In Majd al-Shams Sunday, the community began burying the dead who ranged in age from 10 to 20 years old, while survivors fought for their lives in hospitals. The strike injured around 40 people. The rocket carried a 50-kilogram, or about 110-pound warhead, an unusually heavy payload. Yes, and then they have a powerful editorial in the Wall Street Journal. Weakness won't deter Hezbollah after its soccer field attack. A strong show of U.S. support for Israel would do far more to prevent a larger regional war. Hezbollah's rocket attack on Saturday killed 12 children and wounded more on a soccer field in Israel's Golan Heights. The response to the West has been weakness and a lack of resolve, continuing the message of recent months that has led to the brink of a larger regional war. Something different is needed to alter Hezbollah's calculus before Israel has no choice but to act. The media seems stuck on the question of who fired the rocket. Hezbollah first claimed an attack in the area, but issued a denial when it became clear the dead children were Druze Arabs, not Jews. I'm wondering if the New York Times has made that point, that Hezbollah denied that they had sent it when they found out it wasn't Jewish kids that they had murdered. Yes, I'd like to know how that was covered. Israel identified the rocket as the Iran-made Falak 1, quote, a model that is owned exclusively by Hezbollah. Given that Hezbollah began firing on Israel on October 8th of last year, and has since shot more than 6,000 rockets and missiles, this isn't a murder mystery. The European Union's foreign policy chief wouldn't name the attacker. How's that for the EU? Wow. Whose statement called for, quote, an independent international investigation and urged, quote, all parties to exercise utmost restraint and avoid further escalation. And the Wall Street Journal writes, translation, we won't have Israel's back when it defends itself. That's correct. Vice President Kamala Harris didn't help deterrence on Thursday when she criticized Israel's prosecution of the war in Gaza after her meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. She was trying to appease the anti-Israel left in the Democratic Party. But Israel's enemies in the Middle East hear a message of U.S. vacillation. The earnest Mr. Blinken seemed not to appreciate that U.S. pressure for Israel restraint gives Hezbollah a green light to keep shooting, which makes it harder for Israel to avoid war. On Sunday, Hezbollah launched more rockets. In the end, but until the end comes, horrors take place. In the end, virtue wins out. The abandonment of virtue with regard to the non-support of Israel in the West will come to haunt it. For the full episode of the Dennis Prager Show, go to pragertopia.com, sign up, and become a full member.